As a believer, do you wonder why sometimes you suddenly become spiritually cold? I mean, you lose your fire for the things of God, you lose your fervor of the things of God, you suddenly stop loving Jesus the way He would have you love Him, the way you ought to. I know there could be a number of reasons, but I want to spotlight on one of those reasons today: your crowd. Hi, you are welcome to This Is It with me, Zika. This is it with Z, inspiration and truth to live your best life now. And trust me, today's inspiration and truth is going to cost you to live your best life now. All right, so I'm going to tell us a story about something that happened in Numbers 11. But before that story, here comes another story. In the Exodus, that is when the Israelites left Egypt, scripture records, I think Exodus 12, scripture records that when they left, a mixed multitude went up with them. That is a crowd of foreigners, a crowd of people. It could have been it could have been Egyptians, people from other foreign nations, but definitely non-Israelites, right? They went with these Israelites, a mixed multitude, foreigners, strangers went with them. Now, I wonder why they went with them, really. Maybe because they've seen the works of God, they've seen how God has delivered the Israelites from the hand of the Egyptians, and they thought, you know what, our best chances lies with following these people out of Egypt. I mean, but scripture doesn't record that this mixed multitude had a relationship with God. I don't think when you continue reading, you realize that I don't think, let me put it that way, I don't think these people had a relationship with God, but they probably knew God from His acts, from His works, and that is why they chose to follow the Israelites. They could have chosen to stay back in Egypt. So now, fast forward to Numbers 11. God had been taking care of the Israelites. He had been feeding them in the wilderness with manna. Now imagine God by Himself feeding you. He has been feeding the Israelites in the wilderness with manna. But something happened. This, this mixed multitude, they began to have an intense craving for meat. They began to have an intense craving. And of course, what happened? It was contagious. The Israelites also began to have the same intense craving, but it started with a mixed multitude. They began to have this intense craving, and the Israelites also began to have same intense craving for meat. And they began to complain and murmur against Moses, and they began to say, "Oh, that he had left us in Egypt where we were eating fish for free, garlics and cucumbers and melons and leeks and when I read that part, I was like, what's wrong with these people? Are you kidding me?" Scripture goes down to record what manna was like and how it tasted. And when I look at that, I'm like, how can you people even compare manna to garlics and leeks and onion and they weren't all right. No. They really were not all right. But on the flip side, it's the same thing we are doing today. And we crave for things away from what God gives. Okay, back to what I was saying. So they began to complain and murmur against Moses, and then Moses, of course, went to God to, talk to him about the people that God had given to him. But point is, this is where I want to spotlight. These mixed multitude had, this crowd, they had a different craving from what God gave. And so the Israelites also began to crave for it. And so you see, your crowd, your craving. Your crowd, your craving. You cannot have the wrong people in your space, in your circle, and have the right appetite. The wrong people will give you the wrong appetite. I mean, bad communication corrupts good manners. And scripture still tells us, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Yes, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. And even if there are believers in your circle who are not intentional about living out who they really are in God, Scripture says you should withdraw from them. Yes, in the New Testament, I can't find where right now, but it says if there are people if there are fellow brothers who are living immorally, stay away from them. Don't stop loving them, but stay away from them. Give them that space. So yes, your crowd, your craving. And as I'm saying this now, someone may ask, so I should stay away from my fellow brothers in the Lord. Well, if they're not living uprightly, then it's okay to give them that space. They don't understand. And some people, some carnal believers will tell you, this Jesus thing for yourself is too much. You're not the first to be born again. You're carrying to your head too much. Hello. It's okay to carry it on your head too much, because you see, this Jesus thing, it is your life. In him you live, move, breathe, have the entirety of your being. So it's okay not to be understood. Jesus was not understood by the religious folk of his time. So it's okay if people don't understand you. Hey, our Christian walk is an intentional one. You have got to be intentional about your crowd, your circle, your space. Check your crowd. Are you getting cold? Then check your crowd. Is your crowd carrying water instead of fire? Iron sharpens iron, not iron sharpens wood, or wood sharpens wood, or wood sharpens iron. No. What is your crowd carrying? Is your crowd after immediate reward instead of eternal worth? What is your crowd carrying? How are they affecting your appetite? What are you craving for? Is it from your crowd? Is it from your circle, from your space? Those things, the wrong crowd have a way of dampening our appetite for the things of God. So check your crowd, your crowd, your craving, your crowd, your craving. I wish I can sing it as a song right now. Your crowd, your craving. You have got to, get back into alignment with God. And some of you will say, I know my friends are unbelievers, but they are nice. They are people who understand me and all that. No. You're just giving yourself the excuse to be lascivious. Yes, I said that. You're giving yourself that excuse, and it's not good. So I pray for you. I pray for you today that you would have the courage to walk away from the wrong circle, because there's a kingdom crowd on the other end waiting for you. You're just not seeing them. You've just not identified them because you're still stuck in the wrong circle. I pray that you have the courage to walk away, to get back into alignment to God, to say no, to set your boundaries, and to begin to set your affections on things above. Set your affections right with God. I love you. I'm rooting for you. And there's so much more in God for you. And this is it, inspiration and truth today. Remember, stay inspired and stay true to truth. Selah.